Welcome to The Explainer. So, today we're going to break down a word we literally hear every single day, but honestly, we rarely pause to actually dissect it. The environment. We usually just think of it as, the trees, the ocean, maybe the weather outside. But as we're going to see today, it is so much more than that. It is this massive, highly interconnected system of physical, biological, and even human elements that dictate literally everything about how we exist on this planet. Today, we're peeling back the layers of this system to see exactly what it's built on. And trust me, it's a lot more complex than just trees and weather. To really get this concept, we kind of have to start at the roots. The term environment was actually coined by a German biologist named Ernst Haeckel. Now, if the name Ernst Haeckel sounds familiar, it's because he's the father of ecology, so it's kind of a big deal in this space. The root of the word itself comes from the French word environner, which simply means surrounding. So it's the aggregate of all conditions, social, economical, biological, physical, chemical, that affect the existence, growth, and welfare of an organism. Now, people have studied their surroundings for millennia, right? But environmental science as a formalized, major field of public interest, that really exploded onto the scene thanks to one pivotal moment, Silent Spring by Rachel Carson. Published in September 1962, this wasn't just a book, it was a massive wake-up call. It sparked this global realization that our surroundings are fragile and that studying them isn't just a hobby, it's an absolute necessity for our survival. So here is our roadmap for today. 1. Defining our environment. 2. The physical foundation. 3. The web of life. 4. The cultural environment. And 5. The need for awareness.
All right, part 1, defining our environment, the multidisciplinary web.
One of the biggest misconceptions out there is that environmental studies is just this one narrow scientific lane. But if you really think about it, wildly different fields perfectly intersect here. You have chemistry, biology, and earth sciences on one hand, but then you swing over to the humanities and see things like sociology, economics, history, engineering, and even ethics. You literally cannot understand environmental pollution without chemistry, but you also can't solve it without engineering and political science. It's the whole shebang. Environmental studies demand skills from all these areas because our surroundings are impacted by all these areas. And the crucial takeaway here is this really powerful analogy. The elements of our environment are interconnected, much like a giant spider web. You pluck just one single outer thread, and what happens? The entire web vibrates. The disturbance of one element is inevitably going to affect another. Moving on to part 2, the physical foundation, Earth's stage. Okay, before we even talk about living creatures, we gotta look at the physical stage, the abiotic stuff, starting with the atmosphere. It turns out the air we are breathing in right now is heavily dominated by nitrogen at just over 78%, with oxygen making up just under 21%. Then you have these trace amounts of argon, carbon dioxide, and other gases. Together, this specific mixture performs some absolutely vital functions. It gives us the oxygen we need to breathe, it provides plants with carbon dioxide for photosynthesis, and it acts like this global blanket to regulate Earth's temperature by trapping heat. But here's the thing, the atmosphere isn't just some big, blended cloud of gas. It's got incredible structure. Think about how we experience all our weather changes down in the lowest layer, the troposphere. Right above that is the stratosphere, which houses the all-important ozone layer, basically our planetary sunscreen that absorbs harmful UV rays. Keep going up, and the mesosphere is out there literally burning up meteors to protect us. Every single layer plays a specific protective role. Now let's bring it from the sky down to the surface, 71%. That massive number represents exactly how much of the Earth's surface is covered by the hydrosphere. We're talking oceans, lakes, rivers, glaciers, groundwater, and even the water vapor in the air. So what does that 71% actually do? Well, the hydrosphere isn't just sitting there. It's a highly active system. Water is the great regulator, you guys. It maintains the Earth's climate, it transports crucial nutrients, ensuring our soil stays fertile, it's completely necessary for photosynthesis, and it provides a habitat for countless aquatic plants and animals. Without the hydrosphere, the biological engine of the planet simply stops. No way around it. To round out this physical foundation, we have the lithosphere. This is the solid outer boundary layer of the Earth, essentially the crust and the uppermost solid part of the mantle. Why does this matter to us? Because this crustal system is quite literally where we stand. It provides the land for agriculture and human settlements, it supplies natural resources like minerals and fossil fuels, and it acts as the literal base for all of our infrastructure. Which brings us to part 3, the web of life, biological components.
All right, with our air, water, and solid ground set up, we need to draw a really clear line between two terms you're going to hear constantly: abiotic and biotic. Abiotic components are those non-living physical and chemical factors we just talked about. Temperature, light, soil components, pH levels. They have an enormous impact on evolution, acting almost as a strict set of rules that life has to follow. On the flip side, we have the biotic components. These are all the living things, plants, animals, and microorganisms that inhabit this stage. Within that living biotic category, nature basically organizes itself into three functional engines. You've got producers who capture solar energy to manufacture organic food. Then you have consumers who rely entirely on that energy transfer to survive. And finally, the unsung heroes of the environment, the decomposers. They break down organic material to recycle vital minerals right back into the biogeochemical loop so the whole cycle can start all over again.
Next up, Part 4. The cultural environment, society's script. Now, this is a really fascinating pillar because it's uniquely human and it drastically manipulates both the physical and biological environments we just explored. The most important thing to grasp about the cultural environment is that you can't put it in a jar like water or soil. It consists of our learned behavioral traits shared by society. We're talking our economy, our politics, our social structures. We humans are both the creators and the molders of our environment. The decisions we make in our cultural environment, like how we structure our economies or draft political policies, they directly dictate how we interact with the lithosphere, the hydrosphere, and the atmosphere.
And finally, Part 5, the need for awareness, protecting the web.
Which leads us to a pretty stark reality. Earth's resources are dwindling. Human activities driven by our cultural environment, things like aggressive mining, deforestation, rapid urbanization, and industrial development, they are increasingly degrading the physical world. It leads to soil erosion, landslides, desertification, you name it. And the kicker here, the government alone cannot perform all the cleanup functions. Legislation is great, for sure, but it is not a magic wand.
Because government action just isn't enough, individual and group efforts are absolutely essential to generate mass public awareness. It starts with structured environmental education, and it leans heavily on broadcast media and the internet to shift public opinion. But it also requires active, boots-on-the-ground engagement, organizing seminars, utilizing science centers for interactive learning, and honestly, perhaps most importantly, involving the youth. Empowering the next generation to understand this complex system is arguably our best defense against environmental degradation. So we've seen how everything from the very highest layers of the atmosphere down to the deepest parts of the lithosphere and every living creature in between is intricately connected. We are a part of that spiderweb. We're not separate from it. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final, vital question. Armed with this new understanding of our interconnected environment, which thread of the spiderweb will you protect today? Think about it. Thanks for joining me on The Explainer, and keep learning.